had I understood this class and the technology, I would show it again. But it's been seen like 100 million times or something.
Roughly.
Yeah. So the video, yes. So Mary Katherine is going to give us. She's going to talk to us about kindness. Please tell us about yourself.
Absolutely.
And then she's going to take questions and answers. I guess she'll take the questions. No, you'll give the questions and she'll give the answers.
I might give questions.
And it feels like you're in the dark.
My life.
Okay, hold on. More lights on. Yeah.
Could you imagine if this was on TV?
It's got to be a slide.
Okay.
Because it looks like it's.
What is this for?
Oh wait, no. What is this? A whole
Crossing your
light?
legs?
Any of you young people turn the lights up?
Is it for like?
Oh,
But it's not round.
I mean, that's
Maybe it's for your.
She's just like.
There we go. That was
Oh wait,
it.
here. New movable pocket.
And there's lights.
and then there was.
Okay.
I think.
All right, everybody.
Not that I would do this, but because I am. But
Catherine, you're.
I like to say cross legs.
no, I actually sit this way.
This is comfortable.
Okay.
Guys have to sit like this.
I can sit like this. It's fine.
So this is not triggering my anxiety at all because I was not a good college student. In fact, rarely made it to class. And after about 6 years of college, I have roughly net 12 credit hours. And it was not my ministry. It's fine. God made me for other things. This is okay. But walking into this classroom, I was like, this is fine, this is fine, this is not fine. It hit me like a wall. But I did take a public speaking course, which I very much enjoyed and actually got an A in. And one of the things that my public speaking professor taught me in 2003 is before you speak, think of the most embarrassing thing that happened to you all week. And then imagine that no matter how bad your speech goes, it can't possibly be as bad as that thing that you had happen. And I was actually going to share the most embarrassing thing with y'all, which is always fascinating because I am a lightning rod for crazy. But then I was like, you know what? I don't think it's necessary because they're a kindness class. And no matter how bad I screw this up, I can have an anxiety attack up here. I can pee my pants. Y'all can't be jerks. Or you'll fail the class. So I really went through a good bit of like personal turmoil. Like, how am I going to talk about kindness in a kindness class? At first, Francesca, you reached out and I thought, this is going to be the easiest thing in the world. Yes, I'll do it. And that's always how I operate. Yes first, panic attack later. So I was at home and I was like, this is like trying to buy a rich person a Christmas present. What do you teach at a kindness class about kindness? And the only thing I thought I could teach and bring to the table, which is 100% unique, is my experience in finding my life's purpose through one simple act of kindness. And then no matter what, it's unique to y'all. You know, you can hear it 100 different ways with 100 different people. So a little bit about myself. Let me tell you about the place I grew up. It is Dothan, Alabama. Anybody familiar? Mm-hmm. No way! Oh, please tell me you're not from there because I'm about to Okay, good.
I knew someone from there.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's a special place.
Yeah.
It is a peanut farm waste land, right, with like small ideas and stuffy politics and like generational homecoming queens. You've probably seen like CW shows based in these types of towns. As a matter of fact, driving into town in Dothan, Alabama, you grab a seat, girlfriend, I'm just getting started. So you're good. This is where I'm from, Dothan, Alabama. Driving into town in Dothan, Alabama, there is a Bible verse on the welcome sign that says, "Come, let us go to Dothan." And I honestly don't know what the context is in that scripture, but I'm pretty sure that biblical dude writing this was not imagining a town with a 6-foot-tall golden peanut in front of the welcome center. But it's kind of a funny thing to imagine, like, you know, some Hebrew guy writing on papyrus or something forever ago, like, send the masses to the place where the National Peanut Festival Queen is and the Rattlesnake Rodeo Queen is. This is where we must have them go. So, come, let us go to Dothan. Dothan is famous for two things, peanut farms and a condom factory. So, nuts and condoms was a kind of our thing. Lots of middle school jokes when you get there. I was thrilled to move to this town from Huntsville, Mobile, Alabama, which actually has rockets and NASA and people who knew me by my last name, and go to this town where nobody knew who I was. I was actually in 2nd grade when I moved to this very unforgiving place, and I brought with me a whole load of baggage. My parents had recently divorced. My mom had found a boyfriend, and that was after the divorce, to her credit. And I also recently decided that I was going to be a hairstylist and cut my own hair, and so I moved to town with separated parents, mom's new boyfriend, and a very bad haircut. Okay. So it's a social kiss of death in a small town. I found myself being in this strange new place. I was a weird kid with a bad haircut and a divorcing mom, and it was an extremely biblical town. And it also didn't help that I was a dreamer. And by dreamer, I don't really mean like, you know how people are like, oh, she's a dreamer, like she dreams big. That's like the positive spin on a dreamer. This is like, she's a dreamer. You know, that kind, like the parents talk about you when they're with their, you know, parent friends. God, I'm a parent now, I can't talk like this. But anyway, that was the kind of dreamer that I was. In fact, I was famous for my big ideas when I moved to that town. In 6th grade, I started a weenie whistle business. Does anybody know what a weenie whistle is?
The Oscar Mayer?
Yes, the Oscar Mayer. I know, this is dating me. Y'all don't need to know how old I am. But there is a large 18-wheeler that's shaped like a hot dog, and it drives around the country promoting hot dogs, and they pass out whistles shaped like hot dogs, and they're called weenie whistles. And I, being the entrepreneur that I was in 6th grade, decided to create a business selling weenie whistles. So that was cool. That made me very popular. I decided my business strategy was to find one or two cute skater boys, give them the first 2 weenie whistles for free, and that would drive market value up. And then I would be able to sell the remaining weenie whistles to the rest of the 6th graders at a large profit margin, because you see the internet was new and I discovered eBay, and I was like, I'm going to make money. Wow. That dream, my first big dream, was killed by Mrs. Sanders, and she confiscated all 15 of my remaining weenie whistles, and I lost $12, and that was how that first dream died. In 8th grade, I found Jesus for the first time. I started a Christian band, and I wrote music and played festivals, which is something that, you know, cool high school kids do. I thought, this is how I'm going to make my name. I was going to be the next Rebecca St. James, who is way too old for y'all, but you might know Lauren Daigle. She was like Lauren Daigle, but edgier. Like, she screamed in her music. So that's who I was going to be. That dream died when I stole a goat at the National Peanut Festival while my band was on break. He was being abused. I was trying to save him. And we were permanently uninvited from all farm venues in Dothan, which is every venue in Dothan. No longer be a rock star. It was very sad. But I was not done dreaming. I had a million ideas of how I was going to change the world. I wanted to be radical. Like, I wanted to make a difference. And I think that if you're sitting in a college classroom and you were somewhere under the age of 50 and that dream has not died for you yet, you feel the same way. So I want to fast forward way on back to 2002 when I was a senior in high school. Just to give y'all a little context, because you probably weren't born yet, Michael Jackson had just had a baby he named Blanket. He dangled it over a balcony. It was a real big news story that year. He said he was just waving, but it caused a lot of distress, and so that was a big. Also, Nickelback was #1 on the one. So you're welcome. That was my generation. 9/11 happened 6 months before I graduated high school, and so the world was a very weird place in 2002, and that's when I decided to graduate high school. So in Dothan, Alabama, we had this really cool high school paper that at the end of the year had superlatives. And these were not like the yearbook superlatives where you're most popular or best dressed or most likely to succeed. No, these were the important ones, like most likely to be on American Idol, most likely to stage a sit-in protest, things that you needed to know about what your classmates thought of you, you know? So everybody looked forward to newspaper day, which is like, also y'all probably don't have newspapers anymore, this is fun. And I was anxious to see, after my big dreams and my, you know, big life in Dothan, what my classmates thought about me. Because let's be honest, in high school, all we care about is what our classmates thought about us. I actually remember the day that newspaper came out. I went to school in my mud flare jeans, and I was eating a fudge round and a Diet Mountain Dew, and somehow I was very skinny, even though that was my regular diet. And I walked into the classroom, and there were the newspaper stands, which you probably have never seen one, but it's made of wire and it has shelves and newspapers go on them. And so everybody's crowded around it, grabbing it because they want to see what people are saying about them. And I went, looking like, in 10 years I see, there's like 100 of them because you can have more than one written about you. And I found my name and I read it across and it said, in 10 years I see Mary Katherine Samples having big ideas and never following through. Yeah. So to say that the wind was taken out of my sails would be like a massive understatement. It was like somebody ripped the sail off the sailboat and wiped their butt with it, and I left that high school knowing that my classmates had sized up my legacy and considered me a joke, and I was absolutely wrecked by that. So I was like, screw this town. I'm going to go change the world somewhere else. And so I traveled the world. I went to Thailand. I went to Texas. Those are literally opposite sides of the globe, which is what my dad said when I told him I was moving to Thailand. He was like, why? But I was searching for a way, and I think we all do this a little bit, like have an existential crisis, and we're like, I want to find my place. Like, where can I go and make a difference? What can I do to put my name out there? Like, I want to be remembered. I want to have a legacy. Guys, I was a dreamer. So my first big dream after high school and the weenie whistle death was I was going to join the FBI. I studied the FBI. I read books on the FBI. I started jogging and wearing my hair in ponytails because you have to do that when you're in the FBI. And I started using words like MO and PERT, like in casual conversation. I was going to be an FBI agent. But you have to run a very fast mile, and I could not do that, and so that dream also died. I decided that I was going to try another round at being a musician. This time I was going to try country music because that's the easiest to be famous in, obviously. So I tried to be a rock star. But you can't be a rock star when you're like 29 and you dress like you're 29. So that dream also died. I tried to be an author. We'll get to that later. And at one point I started watching a show called Bones. Isn't that Bones? Yay! Yes! Okay. I was going to be a forensic anthropologist. Yeah. I was going to actually go to school, graduate from school, and then do murdery things with bones. I didn't really know what that entailed, but I was going to do it and prove everybody wrong from Dothan, Alabama. I was going to make my name in the world. All right. After about 10 or 15 years of trying that, I decided to be like every other nice little Southern girl from Dothan, Alabama, and just get married, because that was the easy thing to do. Hooray! I no longer had to find my radical way to change the world. I could just support my husband while he did it. And the sad thing is, there was a little part inside of me that was truly shriveling, and I did believe that was the only way that I could contribute. Like, at this point, okay, I'm not smart enough, I'm not, studenty enough, I don't study well, I can't get a college degree, so I'm going to try and be a real estate agent. But like, oh my gosh, everybody's a real estate agent. Like, people are driving around with cars with their faces on them, and I can't compete with that. And so I stopped doing that, and I just decided I'm going to be a waitress. And I was a waitress for the 10 years that I put my husband through medical school, residency, and then I got pregnant. And that's what Southern girls do when they are really sad about their lives. A baby fixes everything. So at this point is when I share with you that I have struggled with a little mental illness. I'm sure that is not a surprise. And so when I had a baby, that did not get better. Like, spoiler alert, having children actually can make things worse. I went from having regular depression to special motherhood depression. And there came a time when I was actually sitting in a rocking chair, rocking my baby, and looking at his beautiful face. He had blue eyes just like his dad, and y'all, I love his dad. Marriage was not a mistake, but trying to make marriage my life was a mistake. I was rocking my son Benjamin, and I remember looking at his face and staring at him and thinking, what will my legacy to this kid be? And like some cruel joke, I was watching TV in the background and an episode of Bones came on, and I was okay, I get it. I'll never be a forensic anthropologist. I was not an FBI agent. I'm not going to be a rock star. And I'm like looking at this kid, and it's genuinely crushing me that I think, like, you're going to grow up and your mom was just one of those moms, like who was going to almost be something and then just stop to be a mom. And that is fine. if that is what you want to do with your life, because then you're fulfilling a dream. But that was never my dream. And I was heartbroken. And I put my son in his crib, and I went to the shower, and I curled up in the fetal position, and I asked God to kill me because I'm not dramatic at all. And I really did. I cried, and I mourned the direction of my life. I was like, how did I get here? I'm 29 years old, and I have 3/4 of the way completed 25 dreams, and I've not finished any of them. And I'm like, what am I going to do? What is the radical thing that I'm going to do to make a difference in the world? And I kept thinking, like, okay, like, I'm not young enough to be a rock star. You kind of have to have a look for that. Let's be honest, it's a thing. And I have long since passed my college opportunities. Like, that is behind me. So forensic anthropology is off the table. And I mean, I'm going through this list of things that I know were opportunities that have genuinely passed me, and I'm heartbroken. So I did what every good millennial does, and I got on social media, made a vague book post about it. And I started, y'all probably don't Facebook because you're young, but you could go to Instagram maybe and be sad. Y'all, can you be sad on Instagram? Snapchat. You can be sad on Snapchat. And it just disappears like it never happened. Right? I did a permanent post on Facebook. It was like, this is so hard. You know, brotherhood is just, how do you do this? And I kind of put out one of those whiny posts that begs for a response, and luckily people were nice enough to respond. In fact, oddly enough, some of them were like, people from Dothan that I didn't like. And all of a sudden, I'm just like, ping, 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 all these notifications came in. Like this bully from the cheerleading squad, and she was like, you know what, you're going to get through this. Okay. And then it's like, you know, ping, 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 like third generation homecoming queen. And she's like, you know what I did when I was sad? I'm like, I don't want to know, baby. Don't care. So I started reading all these comments. I got like 40 of them. And it was kind of taking me aback. These were people from my past who I had absolutely nothing in common with. And in fact, the only thing we shared in common was a little bit of hurt from childhood. And all of a sudden, they were reaching out to me to find common ground and community. And I hate to admit it, I was touched. Kind of put a bad taste in my mouth, but it was touching. And I decided that night that, okay, I'm a mom, can't put this thing back in, so that's a done deal. Not going to college, I'm not going to be a rock star, but you know what I can do? I can write. So maybe I will start writing about motherhood. And maybe a mom who's sad like me can read my post and feel a little less alone. And so I started a blog, and I named it Mom Babble, and I put my kid's face on it. It was really funny. I thought my parents would read it, you know, which they did for 2 years. I mean, I'm a writer and a reasonably good storyteller, but there isn't really anything particularly special about me other than that. But 500,000 followers later, 3 book deals, a trip to Ellen, something radical happened in my little blog. And I had to kind of assess and think, like, what was it that made this happen? This is so weird. And the internet is a weird place, and sometimes it's very fluky, and it just chooses the king, and you're the king for a day. But this is consistent growth, and it's my career now. And so I've been looking back on it this week, and I thought, like, what is the common thread that made this happen? And looking back on my career as a writer and a blogger and an influencer, I have discovered that the common thread was kindness. When I started facilitating the conversations on that page with my community of like 30 parents, and then it became 100 parents, and then I freaked out and it was 10,000 parents, I only had one rule, and it was in the top of my page. It said, be kind. And I would just delete people who were jerks, you know, because I didn't have space for that vibe in my life, because I was already struggling with postpartum depression and myriad other issues. But I didn't realize at the time just how radical kindness was. Look at the world around us right now, and turn on your TV. And I don't care if you watch Fox News or CNN. Everybody's a jerk. Like, you can look at them screaming at each other, and all they want to do is sow discord. And if you look at that world, if that's a snapshot of what everyday life is in our society, then you kind of start to get an idea of why kindness is so radical and why people are drawn to it. Have y'all ever heard the statement? I'm sure you have, because I'm sure Francesca has done this already. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a silent battle.
We have not done that yet.
Well, I'm sorry if I took your Thunder. One of my favorites. It was originally attributed to Plato, but there's some Plato, sorry. I'm a mom, and so I've got Disney on the mind, but Plato. And regardless, it's true. All of us have hurt, and some of us hide it better than others, but on a daily basis, life hurts. And I wanted to change the world by being famous and going to Thailand and saving the children and leaving the hellhole of Dothan, Alabama and making a name for myself somewhere else. But you know what I learned? You don't actually have to travel the world to change it. In fact, you don't have to be educated. You don't have to be rock star gorgeous. You don't really even have to be charismatic. You just have to be kind. And it really is that radical. So I didn't tell you this, but the little girl growing up in Dothan, Alabama with a bad haircut was also a victim of childhood abuse. And I suffered every night in a violent home. And the children in that school couldn't possibly have known that they were bullying somebody who went home and became an emotional and physical punching bag to an awful, awful stepfather. But could somebody have been kind and changed my life? How much would that have mattered to the kid who showed up every day and had hell at school and went home every day to hell at home? Kindness is radical. In fact, I think it's the most radical thing that any of us can do. You want to change the world? Do it your way. But I'm telling you, you don't have to travel to do it. You don't have to graduate to do it. You can change the world in your community. You can change the world in your friend's life. You can change the world on Facebook or Snapchat, or I don't know if you can do that. I haven't really done it myself. But I know that today y'all are going to touch a little bit on post-traumatic growth. Is that right? Okay, after I leave. I wanted to touch on it briefly because I do think that pain is not necessarily, I actually really hate it when people say, there's a reason for what you're going through. I don't really subscribe to that, but I do think that you can purpose your pain, right? No, I don't. I think it's like the worst possible thing to say to somebody, so just take that for what it's worth. But I do think that you can take your pain and purpose it. Like, it didn't happen to you for a reason, but you can make something with it. Dog turds suck, but they can have a fertilizer, So be kind for everyone you meet is fighting a silent battle. Like, how true is that? If you've had a battle this week that has made you absolutely feel like garbage or at the brink of hopelessness or sad in need of a friend, raise your hand. So there's like 100% chance that somebody you're encountering in this room or out there in the hallway or at the gas station is also going through life, which is hard on this world, just like you. All right. Let me talk about Ellen, because that's honestly the reason you invited me. This video is really crazy. And the journey has been, absolutely crazy. But there was really nothing unique about my video. If y'all replayed it, I don't know if you remember it or not. I literally bought somebody a ginger ale and then hugged a stranger at a gas station. That was it. And then, 80 million views and a trip to Ellen later, I'm like, what just happened? But the only thing that really happened in that video was a random act of kindness that touched people's heart. And I get messages every day. Now, I'm a mom blogger, which is I think the bane of the world's existence, but I own it. It's my job now. It's fine. And I make it my job to just put out positive, kind messages of encouragement to people who are in the parenting trenches, just like I was with my son Benjamin when I was hopeless and sad and thought that I would amount to nothing. I just wanted to send him a word of kindness. That was it. That was my goal. And every day, and y'all, hundreds of messages every day. I can't even read them all. It breaks my heart. Thank you for sharing your story. It made me feel less alone. Thank you for that word of encouragement that you made in the comments section. I'm going through a divorce right now. Thank you for that video you shared where you opened up about your mental illness. I have been struggling with suicidal thoughts. It made me realize that happy people can also have dark times. Thank you for being kind. You don't realize how hungry society is for kindness until you start giving it to them. Kindness is radical. And I love being in a room actually like this. I love doing this. It's my first time, but I usually talk to moms, I'll be honest. But this is kind of cool because I can see that the world hasn't snuffed out your dreams yet, which makes me very happy. So if I'm addressing a room full of dreamers, which I hope you still are, and also knowing that you're very broken humans, and if knowing that you are looking for a way to make your name and transform the world, I'm telling you this is it. You are in the right class. Whatever you learn in your math class, in your science class, you become a doctor, you become a teacher, those are going to be really cool things, but the way you're going to change the world is what you learn in here, being kind. So I will tell you it has 100% changed my life. Funny story, I'm a procrastinator. Francesca's actually out in the parking lot like, where are you? I was literally driving across the grass because we couldn't figure out how to get through the parking lot to get to this building, and I was writing this speech like 2 hours ago. True story. And this morning I was kind of like in my mind, I was like, this is how this is going to go. I'm going to vision it. It's going to be great. I go to therapy. They make me do this a lot, and it helps, by the way. Medicine and therapy is another big thing. Kindness, medicine, and therapy. That's like a T-shirt thing.
Gotcha.
But I'm driving to school, my daughter to preschool this morning, and I'm like trying in my mind to create this talk, because this is going to be great, and my daughter is practicing her yoga, which 3-year-olds don't really do yoga. What they do is they're like, I'm a dog, I'm a cat, you know, and but she has learned at the end of every class, she goes, the good in me sees the good in you. And it's the cutest freaking thing with her little like lisp, and oh my god, it's just edible. And so I'm like, I'm having fights with people, like colleagues on the phone. I'm trying to plan this thing, and Holland's like, the good in me, the good in you, and on this day, you know, and I'm like, shut up! So I like drop my kid off at the preschool, like wheel around the parking lot, and I am like seriously firing off nasty text messages to a colleague who has pissed me off. I'm trying to write this thing. I was mean to my daughter, and I was like, I'm teaching a speech on kindness today. Oh my god. I was like, okay, I'm going to do a little experiment with this colleague. So, backstory, because this is how I work. I'm extremely ADD. That's not a joke. It's an actual diagnosis. My daughter, my colleague, and I started working together about 2 years ago. And I'm an influencer, and she sells advertising. So I paid her a fat, like $500 a month to bring me ads, which was great for 1 month because she brought me some ads, and then like 3 months later she didn't, and I kept paying her, and then she didn't, I kept paying her. And after a year, my husband was like, we're done with this. And I was like, okay. So we hadn't really negotiated how I was going to pay this bill, because she kept saying, oh, don't worry about it. We're going to get a huge advertising contract. It's just going to take care of itself. It's fine. It's fine. This was years ago. 3 months ago, she started invoicing me. And I was like, oh, this is going to be awkward because we're going to have to figure this out. I'm like, you didn't really provide a service. And I know that we have contracts. So, like, this is going to get ugly. And she's like, a friend. And, oh, it was messy. So that is what I was dealing with when I was writing this kindness speech. Talk about convicting. I was firing off some nasty, like, you provided crap service. You know what? I'll go ahead and pay this bill. Then I'll put on blast to my 500,000 followers that you suck. And meanwhile, the good in me sees the good in you. So I decided to do an exercise because Francesca says, y'all do exercises. And literally an hour before I came here, I decided to make peace with my colleague and see the good in her from the good in me. Namaste. And I just wanted to tell y'all how this resolved, okay? I'm broke. I paid the bill. That sucked. But I went from having a sickness in my stomach and spirit over a broken relationship because I was angry. And just like, you know, when you're angry at somebody, you also want to rally the troops to be angry with you. And it's super toxic. You shouldn't do that. So I'm like, you know, calling other bloggers that I'm friends with, like, you wouldn't believe what she did. And like, yeah, we're like dividing up into teams, just like a Powerpuff football game. It's just nasty, you know? And this whole time I'm writing out a speech on kindness. So I decided this is the most hypocritical thing I've ever done in my life. I am literally here typing about like, and then I went to Ellen because I'm such a good person. You know, I called her and I said, this is hard because I don't want to apologize because I don't want to do anything wrong with it and say that. I said, Julie, I just made that up name so y'all don't know who she is. Julie, I am sad about what's happening between us right now. Like, it sucks. Can we acknowledge that it sucks? Okay, it sucks. We agree on that. I'm not thrilled that you felt like I was not paying this bill, and you're not thrilled that I think that your business sucked, but here's where we are. I know that you tried your best, and you know that I don't want to hurt you. The good in me sees the good. Okay, so that's kind of what I was working with, what my daughter had taught me, my 3-year-old. And we did like a 2-minute accidental therapy session on affirming the good we saw in each other. It was vomit-worthy, and it was amazing, and we cried because we're girls. And I got off the phone, and it was literally like a weight had flown away from my shoulders. One person, guys, one act of kindness completely transformed my day. I felt like a lighter, happier person. I felt like I could live the rest of my day in peace. How much of that weight do we just carry and don't even realize it? How much of that funk just covers our heart? Can I give them homework? It's not like test homework.
Yeah.
Can you namaste a relationship this week? Can you look at somebody who, I don't know if it's like a tiny blip on the radar type fight or if it's like a nasty one, and I want you to do the exercise. You don't necessarily have to call them. You don't even have to reach out. But find the good intention in your heart in the whole messy situation, and then look and think, okay, let me find where she was in this. Let me find where he was in this. Find the good in them. I don't know what faith or belief system you subscribe to, but I really do think we're all here trying our best. I don't know if you think that people are like innately good or innately bad, but regardless, I think we can agree we're all here doing our best, and the world is hard. And knowing all of that, doesn't kindness sound really freaking radical? Like it can heal and build bridges, maybe even cause world peace. I don't know. All I know is that a room full of college kids here are studying kindness, and it makes my heart happy because I think about a little girl in Dothan, Alabama who could have used a big dose of it. And I'm here, I'm doing my best, but I'm very encouraged by what y'all are doing. And I wanted to talk to y'all about Ellen, but I kind of forgot what I was going to say because honestly, I'm all up in my feelings. And I think I'm pretty much done sharing what I have to say. Do we have time?
Yes, you did such a good job. I would love to have everyone ask questions, and I'll even start because that was lovely. Thank you so much. You did such a great job. I can listen to you all night. So the part, and I appreciate that kindness is radical because it is, and it's just people are working so hard. I mean, the New York Times did a big article about kindness this week, and it's like, as a former journalist, like it's news because it's different, right? So like kindness is different. It's radical. It's so I just appreciate y'all in this class too. But my question for you is, I'm really fascinated by the sort of the earthquake that is a viral celebrity, like the hurricane that is. Like 1 minute you're literally at the Wawa, right? Mm-hmm. You're like, I mean, which Wawa? I'm just curious. Which Wawa was it?
We have more than one?
Yeah.
It's like Fowler and Colonial.
Okay. Fowler, you're literally near Fowler.
Yes. Yeah.
Over there all the time.
Yeah.
And you have this exchange, which is very sweet, and then what? Just like people are sharing. That's how it goes viral. And then the next thing you know, your cell phone is ringing, and it's a producer from Ellen.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy. So I thought it was spam.
Right.
Being a blogger, I'd had some viral successes in the past. Nothing like this. I'd had like a couple million here and a couple million there, and I knew that people would reach out and ask me for interviews. And I knew my followers were tagging Ellen like crazy, so it was like on my radar that I'm dreaming about it, right? But okay, please, Ellen, guys, like let's be done here. But no, they reached out, and she actually sent me a message and left me a phone number, and so I left the most awkward message ever. It was like, hey, this is Katherine Backstrom. I got this number from somebody who said they were Ellen's producer, but I'm figuring that's not the case, so I don't know why I'm calling. But if you happen to be Ellen's producer, will you please call me back? And also, I'm sorry, this message is so weird, but I just assume that you're trying to scam me, and if you're trying to send me like my inheritance from Kenya, I'm not here for it. Like, it was just word vomit, you know? And she called back like a second later, just dying laughing. She was like, girl, can you get in LA, like, stat? And it was wild, but I just said, like, if anybody's ever had like something go viral, it's weird, right? Because 80 million people have seen you on the internet, but I go to Wawa and nobody knows who I am, so kind of fame because you're still poor and nobody ever knows you in public. Lots of fun. I mean, moms at Chick-fil-A will occasionally be like, can I get a selfie? Because they're not ladies that laugh, right? Like, and I'm always really nervous because like my whole brand is kindness and parenting. I'm like, what did I just say to my kids while she was watching? But yeah, that's just about it. It is very odd. It's just the internet is a very weird beast. Even though I made my career that I recommend y'all avoid it.
And did you like Ellen? Was it fun to be on the show, or was it terrifying?
It's like a human ice cream cone. Like, if you could imagine Ellen to be everything you would want her to be, like, she's that. And, like, she doesn't disappoint. Like, they tell you don't want to meet your heroes. And Ellen was one of my heroes, and, like, I'm not sad that I met her. So that's all I can say about that. I met Kim K, but that was disappointing. I have a little bit of anxiety, and when I'm nervous, I talk like a Muppet. And so, like, if I'm in an elevator and it's really crowded, I'm like, So I was backstage, and Kim Kardashian was on stage, and she was like selling her Skims or whatever. And then she like walks off stage, and she's fixing her hair, and I'm like, hello. And she literally jumped like 4 feet over and just walked away. I mean, I think I met her. I'm not sure. Like, wait. Yeah. I also used Chrissy Teigen's toilet. She wasn't there, but I. Yeah, it was fun. Does anybody have questions?
You have some questions?
Yes.
I just want to throw something out there that I think that like we all feel. You are so incredibly relatable. Like, like all the, for me personally, all the experiences that you've shared, I can relate to in some way or another. And thank you for coming and talking.
That is like the greatest compliment to me, because truly I started, like I said, I started blogging. All I wanted to do was make people feel less alone. And I think what I have found is the more vulnerable and awkward you are, the more people find you relatable. So, you know, like, you know, like I hugged a stranger. It was so ridiculous. Everybody's like, yeah, me too. Yeah. I think it's like a good lesson. Like, don't try and be cool, because literally we're all weird. It's fine. You know.
I know when we were talking about her presentation, I said, I hope that you're real, because I want this class to be real. And I so just appreciate your humanity.
Thank you so much. I
That
love
is-
humanity.
Well, it also takes like the amount of strength it takes to be vulnerable about trauma that you've gone through, childhood-wise. I mean, like,
Thank you.
it's inspirational. It is.
Thank you. Has anybody read Dr. Brene Brown, anything about her shame research?
No, I don't know that name.
Okay. I know that this is a kindness class, but I'm going to divert for 2 seconds into shame, because, like, Brene Brown's like a shame researcher, but like, you know, she's like the kind that actually studied it in school, and I'm like a shame researcher, and then I'm really good at being a shame researcher. I like do field work, you know. So I actually have done a lot. Like, she's one of the coolest people in the world. What she has studied is, and she has worked with Navy SEALs, you know, NFL football teams, like the president. I don't know which one of them. But she's done work with big people, and the research that she has done has correlated vulnerability with courage. And she went to speak with a group of military, I mean, it's actually the Navy, I think it was SEAL Team 6 maybe, and she asked them, in the military, do you consider vulnerability as strength or weakness? And like, gut instinct is, in the military, you consider vulnerability a weakness. But then she said, and like all of the military heroes and the stories that you know where people have sacrificed their lives, and think of your like greatest hero in the military, was their act of heroism an act of strength or vulnerability? Or, you know, was it vulnerable? And they were like, oh my God, yeah. So it turns out that being vulnerable is the most courageous thing that you can do.
It's the scariest thing in the world.
It
you
is,
feel your
absolutely.
heart start. I mean, the physiological effects.
Right.
It's just,
But how many human connections are made that way, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's why we're scared. We don't want to, I mean, it's scary to like drop your guard, because then all of a sudden if somebody rejects you, it's like the real you. You know, like if I come in here and I'm cool and you reject me, then I'm like, whatever, they don't know me. But then if I show up and I am me and you reject me, that sucks. So it is scary. But I highly recommend y'all look into Brene Brown shame researching. And a lot of her data also ties into the concept of kindness, because all things come back to kindness, really.
was going to just say, when you're speaking about mothers and people wanting to be, all these other things, in my opinion, my mom's greatest achievement was what she did for us as a family, and I think that we need more women like that. And so,
Thank you.
That's a huge accomplishment just in
is.
itself.
I think we all want to see our name in lights to some degree. I feel like we're all born. This is a Christian tenet, but I feel like I was born with eternity in my heart. It means like I was born and I want to prove myself. I want to be something big. Like we all have this desire to come on earth and leave it changed, right?
Absolutely.
But in my faith, like the world was changed by a little baby, and like isn't that kind of how the world changes all the time? It's like reset button. Let's try this again, and it's really the coolest thing in the world that like I get to actually raise the next generation. Yes, I'm affirming what you're saying that it is right, but it is hard. Like as a woman, I get a little bit itchy with the like, is this my role? Is this it? Yes, this is important, but like, are they going to know who I was? You still have this. There's like a friction there, a little bit of tension, I guess is the better word, between like, we all want to be content in our domestic family lives as we get older, but we also want to have done really cool things.
Yeah, true.
But you're right.
So it's neat.
I mean, honestly, kindness is like one of the small things in the world, but it's one of the greatest things in the world. And I think parenting is probably like anybody can do it, but it's powerful and it's great. Anybody can do it.
It's not easy.
We can all do it, but like
to
doing
do it well.
To
do it well.
Right.
We shouldn't all do it. Yeah.
I mean, there's some celebrities who have lots of babies. That's all I have to say. Lots of like K names and whatever the heck we got going on. Anything else? Yes.
So kind of a spin-off from that, you kind of talked about how you felt like you really haven't followed through with anything. So now, since you've done a lot,
right.
Now, what is your greatest accomplishment?
I will tell you that my take on this, which is like completely 180 from what I used to think. I used to want to like mold myself into a role that was important, and now what I have found is that if I can use the gifts that God gave me and just live in my purpose, which is I'm going to be an encouraging writer, then my life is going to feel fulfilling no matter how successful I am. So for the last 5 years of me writing, I have enjoyed my life. The success, the financial success, and the notoriety has been great, but it has just been icing because honestly, I'm content. And when this Ellen stuff came, like I was in this really weird place because I told my husband, I was like, he's like, how excited are you? He was like, I'm excited. He's like, you think it's going to change your life? I'm like, no. I think that I'm going to go to Ellen and it's going to be a lot of fun, and then I'm going to come home and I'm going to keep writing and I'm going to keep being a mom and I'm going to keep doing all the things that I actually love doing because I found my peace, So my greatest accomplishment, I think, is like finding my truest life. And that sounds so like, I'm a tree or whatever. But like, I always wanted to be what I saw something was cool. Like, I'm going to be Bones, I'm going to be a forensic anthropologist. I'm going to be an FBI agent. And then like, I just learned to be me. God put me here to be me, and so living in that has been my greatest accomplishment. Yes.
Can we watch your Ellen video?
We watched it the first day.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean,
I have it. I just
Please
Mary
find
Katherine goes, I'll hook it up and show it again.
Yeah, do your techie stuff.
Yeah.
I'd love to see your reaction to yourself.
First of all,
You did very well, dude. I'd be like a wreck.
they wrecked me on purpose, by the way. If you want to know a little behind the scenes, do you have time for this kind of stuff? Okay.
She has like 2 hours left.
I'm done with
Get out
trying
like
to now
time.
talking about celebrity stuff.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you about like the Ellen people. They bring you backstage and they like crank you up and make you really scared and nervous, and then they like push you out into the lights. It's like really horrible. No, it's fine. They're nice, but like, let me tell you. So this is what they did. They brought me in and they told me to bring my family. But they were like, we probably can't bring your family on stage. I don't know if y'all are familiar with 12 Days of Christmas show that Ellen does. It's like the whole show, they give you things, and if you're in the audience, you get to go home with these things. And so they told me up front, we can't put you in the audience, it's too full. And I was like, okay, this is fine. I'm just going to meet Ellen. That's it. I'm great, And so they put me like in the backstage, and then like, they prep me. They're like, Ellen doesn't like big hugs. Her back hurts. So I was like, okay. Pat twice, and then you're done. I was like, okay, I won't scare Ellen. She's like, don't try and be funny. Ellen's the queen of funny. If you try and be funny, you're going to look bad. I was like, not funny. Won't be funny. So I'm like a hot mess. They pull me up on stage, and they're like, and by the way, if Ellen gives you a pair of underwear, act really excited about it. And I was like, just give me the underwear, what? And they're like, and go! So I went out on stage, and I'm like, oh, Ellen, I love you so much. And it was like, you're seeing black. and you're freaking out. And then she literally was like, tell me about this, ha ha ha, $20,000! What? You know, that was the whole experience. Like, that was it. That was my whole, like, start to finish how I felt. And then the producer, so, like, you know, the scene is over, like, they're going to a commercial now, and, like, everything kind of dies. It's super weird. You're like, you feel like you're in this cranked up, like, game, and all of a sudden it just, you're like, okay, what now? So I look at Ellen, and I'm like, do I have to leave you now? And she's like, you do. You know, so I go off stage, and the producer was like, by the way, you and your family are in the 12 Days show. And so I cried, you know? I mean, like, I'm sitting there with my mom and my sister, and they keep giving us things, and it's just like, I had never done hard drugs, but I kind of feel like maybe that's what I all of the dopamine and serotonin, and like, ah! Yeah, I got lots of things. I got Harry Styles tickets, and I got, hold on, I'm going to say this wrong. No, Yeezys. They gave me Yeezys. It was the weirdest thing ever. I mean, they are clean shoes. But I don't know what to wear them with. So, like, it's just really funny, you know, like all these suburban housewives with their Yeezys. It's like, but, and we got like a $250 gift card to this and that and the other. And by the time I left, I was like, I mean, it's like your wedding day. You leave and you're like, what just happened? It was awesome. Is that what the question was? I'm sorry.
Did they like put you in the makeup chair and do all that?
Oh, okay. So they told me. Oh gosh, I'm not gonna tell that story. But yes, they did put me in the makeup chair. I don't know. I'm kind of like spazzing right now, and I think you probably have a class to teach.
No, don't spaz. We're gonna in a minute. I'm gonna try to get your video up so everybody can see.
Oh, good. Okay, I'll tell you one more story. I'm not really sure
tell the story. I will
try and like pull a kindness thread out of it to make it relevant. Otherwise, it's just funny. But so I'm not like very LA. I got like Lower Alabama, like you know. But anyways, so when I went to LA, like everybody was very worried about me because I'm the kind of person who leaves the door unlocked. My car was stolen last week actually because of this. Francesca called and she was like, I want you to be in this class on kindness. And I was like, my car was stolen. Can I call you about it? So, you're really cool about it. And then I had a clue, and I think she started thinking I wasn't real.
I did not.
Yeah, you're good. But, yeah, so I was in LA. My mom and my sister are there, and they're like a little more normal than me, or neurotypical, I guess is the word these days. And they were like, MK, you just need to stay at the hotel. You don't need to venture out into the big world. You know, hotel, Ellen, hotel, home. That's what we're going to do. But I felt big because I'm 35 and I'm a grown-ass woman. And so, like 2 hours before the Ellen limo was supposed to pick me up, which was really cool, I was like, I'm going to go to Target because that's how I go into Zen mode. I needed to calm down. So I went to Target by myself on Santa Monica Boulevard. And I was going to get my Uber to go home. This was fine. So I'm like shopping my little red cart. I grab some stuff. I'm like bringing it all to Ellen. And I walk outside and I call my Uber. And I'm like right here. Santa Monica Boulevard is like really big and busy. And I'm calling my Uber and I hear this, oh God, help me! And this person's running across traffic and gets hit by a car. I promise this is fine. It ends fine. But then also they have a little dog, which y'all are terrible. Like, like a person gets hit, you know, like this little dog, oh God! Like, the little dog like goes flying, right? And like I'm like person dog, oh my gosh! And so I just stand here and I go, sir, you were hit by a car.
Guys,
you know, lady. He like pops up and runs up the stairs behind me, which is like there's stairs to Target. I'm trying to explain this well. He runs past me with like a wonky leg. It's like wiggling in his jeans and runs up the stairs. And then this very tall, purple-haired person comes around the corner and goes, "You scared now?" And pulls out a shank. And I'm like, oh gosh. So like my Uber pulls up right about now. And the guy's like at the top of the stairs, and his leg is not going to move anymore. I think that was shock that got him up the stairs. And this like person with the shank is not done. Like, the car didn't kill you, I'm going to finish the job. And so I'm like, you know, I told you I was going to be an FBI agent. I'm like, excuse me, I've called the police already, they're on the way, you should probably leave, which is very intimidating. This has all happened in like 30 seconds, you know. But the purple-haired person did go this way, and with the dog. This is where it gets really swirly. So I go and check on the person who's been hit. I'm like, are you okay? I think I've seen enough TV to know you're in shock. You need to sit down. And, you know, I'm kind of like being a doctor-ish / police person. And he's like, I need my dog. And I was like, okay, I'll get your dog. And so the Uber driver comes out and he's like, ma'am, we've got to go. I was like, sir, this person was hit by a car. Can you wait? You've got the Uber time limit, and then I'm charging you. I'm like, okay. So I'm like trying to mediate dog, purple-haired person crisis. And I go over here and I'm like, hi, shape person. This person wants their dog back. And they're like, I'm not giving the dog back. This is my dog now. So I go back to the stairs, and I think that I had figured out like who the bad guy is in this situation, right? Because it's clearly the shank person. But then I go to the stairs, and this person has multiple teardrop tattoos on the face. And I'm starting to think this whole situation is very bad guysy all around. And so I like sit down and I'm like, all right, well, I think that the police is going to work on this for you. The dog is over there. And he's like, no, I'm going to go get my dog. So he stands up, and like the leg is making crunching noises at this point. I'm seeing like shock is real, y'all. People can do crazy things when that is going on in their body. Like, I don't know. Anyways, the Uber guy is like, time is up. And at this point, the person who hit maybe the bad guy, all the bad guys, gets out of the car and is like, what the blank, you know? And so I write down on a piece of paper because I'm scared. I know that if you're a witness at a scene of a crime and you leave, you can go to jail. And so I go to the Volvo guy and I'm like, Uber, please wait. I will tip you very well. And I'm like writing down, my name is Mary Katherine. I'm going to be on Ellen in 2 hours. I'm very sorry. Tell the police I'm not running away. They can watch me on Ellen. And I give him this note. And then I get in the Uber and the guy's like, welcome to LA. I'm like, okay. So like, and I am not cool at this point because like, you know, I have anxiety like, whoa, and I cannot bring it down at this point, and I'm going to Ellen after this, so it's just like, you know, through the roof, and I don't have any meds. It was a disaster. So after the show, like a day later, I'm like processing all of this. This is a drama, you know? And I get a text message, and it's like, hi, my name is Joe. I was driving the Volvo. Did you say you were going to be on Ellen? And he was like, I just want you to know the dog's okay. And that was it. That was the end of the story. See, I told you there's no kindness involved in this. This is a long story. That was my experience with LA.
Wow.
Highly. 2 out of 5 stars. Do not recommend.
Sounds like
let's
every
just not.
experience.
We're in the sweet middle, you know. Florida's all right. It's got Florida man and falling iguanas, but
Florida man.
it's fine.
You guys, this is a really hard time. I'm sorry. No. I want to show you somebody. I'm going to call the person.
I'm reading all the secret note cards. I feel like this is personal.
Your roommate.
That's where we live.
Like, you know, private diary. I just realized I was like,
Names, address, book.
yeah, I know. The darkest fears.
I'm just calling IT.
Okay.
How hard can it be?
Freezing last 2 days, so I bumped it up to like 72.
Oh, that was the question? Okay, they told me to come with a good base, and I don't do makeup.
That was the
And
first
so I came with like chapstick, and I used eyeshadow on my eyebrows. It was glittery and stuff. And so they were, I mean, I did that tonight too. I think it looks okay. So, no, they were like, they brought me downstairs, and there were elves walking around getting there, because it was this 12 days. It was just a very odd experience. Like, I was sitting down getting my makeup done. It's like an elf over here and an elf over here. And I was like, Merry Christmas. And the elf was like, I'm Jewish. It was really awesome. Ellen? Yeah. Oh no, she was amazing. But she's busy. Yeah. And I think that if it wasn't a 12 Days of Christmas show where they have so many freaking celebrities, I think I would have gotten more personal time with her. But like at our episode, it was like Kim Kardashian, Harry Styles, the guy from Star Wars, that's Finn, I think. No, Poe. Yeah. David Boyega or something like that. Is that his name? Chrissy Teigen, Julia Roberts, like all of them were there. And so I was told that I was going to be in the green room, which is like, I kind of have seen those on TV before, but when I got there, all of the little nice ones were taken by actual celebrities, not internet celebrities. And so I was in this little area that was like cordoned off like a homemade curtain. And I was like, put me in my place.
So you were in the room with Kim Kardashian and Harry Styles?
They were walking around my curtained area. Like, you can
hear it.
It was like, if you would have thought that I was like carrying Ebola. Like, it was literally like in the middle of the hallway with me, and then the celebrities are free roaming.
Wait, you weren't allowed to leave? That.
It was discouraged because I think they know that like regular old Joes, like they were like, if you go to the bathroom, you don't need your phone. I was like, I know this, and she's like, you know, because people take pictures of the dressing rooms and everything else. And, I mean, I have had like 2 seconds of fame, and like it is a little weird when people come up to you and ask for pictures and like they know you. And I'm only imagining that like Julia Roberts and Chrissy Teigen, like their life is just a little different from mine. So, you know.
So you didn't get to meet Harry Styles or like Chrissy Teigen or anything?
No.
Why don't you just give your opinion to your students?
Huh? Yeah.
That was good.
I know. I smiled. I got it. Also, it's a kindness class, so if you're being mean, you're don't be mean to the speaker.
We're almost there. We're gonna get them on both screens.
I know, but.
So you didn't get to.
No, what? Your family. Oh, this has been really fun. Okay, so my sister's a doctor, and like my brother's like in the oil industry, and I've always been like I'm a blogger, you know, like middle child. And so when I got to go to Ellen and invite my family to go with me, like all of a sudden I felt like I've made it. But that only in my family. Like it matters at Thanksgiving, you know? It matters. Like, yeah, no, I mean like everybody wanted to go to Ellen. I was the hot ticket for once. It was nice. Like Katherine always gets calls and they're like, I have this rash, and everybody cares about my sister. Nobody calls me to ask about blogging tips, you know? Yeah. But now they're like, so, hey, who's that third ticket for Ellen? What's your Christmas present?
What's happening? Oh,
Did you get any like Wawa?
Okay, so listen to this.
Yeah, free Wawa.
Yeah, free
so
coffee.
Well, okay. First of all, their marketing person sucks because I contacted them initially and was like, "Hey, I'm mega viral. You should capitalize on this. Pay me." You know? I mean, like even $1,000 would have been great. I would have done something with them. They waited until after Ellen to email me, and then they're like, "Do you mind dressing up like an elf? And we'll do free Coke for a day, and you give strangers hugs in front of the gas stations." And I was like, as good as that sounds, I'm gonna pass. And so, like, yeah, but I was too late to respond. And by the time that I responded, this whole like Wawa's like security breach happened, and they were on to like fix it mode, and they were not even worried about me anymore. And they told me they'd send me a sweatshirt, and they never did. I still go there though.
They got the nugget.
All right, we're almost there. Okay, we're in. So this is so to tell you a little
I'm done,
bit.
right?
You are done.
Well, thank you.
Oh, that's it.